What's good? It's Woog. So Coachella finally released the set times on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. People have been waiting, commenting on Twitter. I mean, it's really unusual that we are this late in the game and the set list and the schedule just came out. But we see a couple of the reasons why. I mean, there were a couple shifts to schedules. Kanye West obviously pulled out, and then they replaced him with Swedish House Mafia and The Weeknd as Sunday's headliners. And then, as you will see, there's a very unexpected guest here on Friday in the daytime or like early evening. Very unexpected. But, I wanted to kind of do this whole schedule in a way where, okay, this is who I want to see. If I'm starting off the Friday, I want to get here. I want to get to this stage to see this, and so forth to make sure that I capture the artists that I at least want to see the most. Now, I had initially wanted to give a lot more background on some of the artists. I'll still give some of the background, but because they did this so late in the game, there's really no time to waste. I want to get right into it. So let's start off with Friday. Now you wake up in the morning, get out of your tent or your hotel. You get to basically, the fairgrounds and such, right? Well, the first thing that I would try to see is right around 2 o'clock p.m. And there's actually like a small conflict, and there's going to be a lot of conflicts and a lot of tough decisions, really. But the first conflict that I'd run into is between Princess Nokia and Arooj Aftab. Princess Nokia is kind of like a rapper, indie rapper, underground indie style rapper, very progressive, very interesting, and her sound has evolved a lot in her career. And then you've got Arooj Aftab, who's kind of like an ambient. She was actually up for Best New Artist this year. Arooj Aftab, kind of like an ambient jazz. She's Pakistani, but she has a lot of multi-instrumentation. Kind of laid back. It might make for a good afternoon type sound. So out of Princess Nokia and Arooj Aftab, now I've seen Princess Nokia at Music Tastes Good out here in Long Beach. And so I would actually go this time with Arooj Aftab. That's from 2:15 to 2:55. Now after that, you could either go to MIKA, which is 3:40, The Regrets, which is a LA band who has recently been signed to a major label, and their music, in my opinion, has kind of shifted from like a edgier punk to more of a pop punk, kind of radio friendly punk, even though there are not too many stations that play like punk on the radio or even pop punk these days. But yeah, either MIKA, who's, been around for much longer than The Regrets. Regrets are still kind of a relatively new band. MIKA had an album called like The Boy That Knew Too Much back in like the 2009, 2010 era. Very fun, kind of a glam rock style music. Think like maybe Of Montreal or something like that. But yeah, you can either go MIKA 3:40, The Regrets 3:20, or Raveena at 3:20. I think that I would actually go. Now, I've seen The Regrets a few times. I actually shot them video-wise a few times. So with this one, I'm actually going to go with Raveena at 3:20. Interesting kind of R&B, indie soul style singer. I would go with Raveena. I think you're going to have a good time going from Arooj Aftab to Raveena. And then if you want to try to squeeze in like the end of the MIKA set, you could try to get back over to the Coachella stage to see some of MIKA. Now, after that, there are a lot of artists that unfortunately you're going to have to miss because the unexpected guest is Arcade Fire at 6:45. Now, Arcade Fire isn't a headliner here, but they have headliner type energy, right? And following, fanship, and so forth. The thing about headliners, and in this case about Arcade Fire, who is unusually a big band that's performing at 6:45, pretty early in the evening, is that you actually have to get there pretty damn early if you care about being somewhat close to the action, right? Like when I had gone to Coachella in 2010, Jay-Z was the Friday headliner. And the way that we were able to get near the front of the stage by the time Jay-Z came on was we were willing to go through Them Crooked Vultures, which was a rock band. This is, again, 2010. And this is actually a band that featured John Paul Jones from Led Zeppelin. Their like keyboardist, bassist was in Them Crooked Vultures. So we saw them, and then we got a little bit closer as that crowd thinned out. And then we pushed further to the front for LCD Sound System, who was the last band to go on before Jay-Z. So by the time they were done, we were like maneuvering closer to the front. So by the time Hove finally came on, we were near the front. It was golden. You might have to do something a little bit similar to try to get near the front for Arcade Fire. So that means that you're going to have to miss Still Woozy, which, I think is a little bit overrated of an indie band. I get why they are somewhat popular, but they kind of feel very derivative. I feel like there are other bands that I could point to that are in the same vein that to me are a little bit more interesting than Still Woozy, but Still Woozy's name has grown to where they've leapfrogged a lot of those more interesting bands, in my opinion. But you're gonna have to miss Still Woozy at 425. You're gonna have to miss indie soul, indie pop style singer, kind of neo soul style. At least that's what we would have called it back in the day. Ari Lennox is 450. I would otherwise love to see Ari Lennox, but I've got to get in line basically and watch Carly Rae Jepsen at 545 because she's going to be performing on the same stage as Arcade Fire. So basically, whether you pick MIKA, The Regrets, or Raveena at around 320, 340, after they're done, you're going to want to get over to the Mojave stage, get in line, maybe even catch the end of Still Woozy. So Still Woozy is actually on the same stage as Arcade Fire. So if you do care to see Still Woozy at 425, you could see Still Woozy, then Carly Rae Jepsen. If you don't remember, she was the Love Me, what was it? Call Me Maybe. And then she's actually had a very underrated career. Very good pop albums, but I don't think she's been as like popular or surging as like the Charlie XCXs who kind of make similar pop style music. Very good and underrated artist. I feel like her coming out with such a big hit with Call Me Maybe kind of set her back in terms of credibility and people really taking you seriously as an artist. Sometimes you could just fall a victim to having such a big hit early to where people don't really appreciate your catalog going forward. But, you know, if you want to see Arcade Fire and you want to get close to the front, I would recommend Still Woozy and then Carly Rae Jepsen. And then if you keep on kind of maneuvering towards the front, you could be in a pretty good position by the time Arcade Fire comes on at 6:45 p.m. One of the, seminal indie bands of the past like 20 years, starting with their great album, Funeral, followed by Neon Bible, and then, The Suburbs, all very good albums. Arcade Fire is phenomenal. I haven't loved their work after that as much, Reflector and so forth, but yeah, gotta see Arcade Fire. Now, what happens when Arcade Fire comes off the stage? Now it's 7:45, so now you've got a couple of difficult decisions to make here. I would personally stick around for Idols. Now, the main competition for me would be, okay, you already had to miss a very good band called Pup on the Sonora stage. They're a new kind of like, rockish, kind of harder rock band. Just released another good album. And before them, Spiritualized, one of the better dream pop-ish indie rock style bands. They performed at 540, but you were positioning yourself for Arcade Fire, so you also had to miss out on Spiritualized and Pup. But after Arcade Fire comes off, oh, by the way, you also have to miss the Marias, unfortunately. But now you either want to check out Lil Baby at 825, great rap artist of the past few years. He's really kind of surged name-wise and recognition-wise to be one of the better and more popular rap artists of the past, I would say 3 to 4 years. Well, now he's going head-to-head with Idols, time-wise, as well as Toki Monster, one of the, basically the DJ producers that came out of that whole, like, low-end theory scene that had, like, Sam I Am and Flying Lotus and the homie Aspect One, now who goes by Spec One or Spec Uno. Yeah, Toki Monster is a producer from that vein. Diabolic or DiBiase is another one of those producers. Mind Design is another one. But yeah, you're going to have to miss all of that, in my opinion, because you got to choose between Lil Baby or Idols. In my case, I'm already here, 7:45. Arcade Fire just came off the stage. Now I want to get even closer because however you position yourself for Arcade Fire would then put you in position to see one of the most exciting and fun punk rock, rock and roll, post-punk, whatever you want to call it, style bands. Basically, they're going to turn the hell up. Check out Idols. They come on at 8:10. Unfortunately, you're going to have to miss one of the best rappers in the game, Lil Baby, but trust me, it's going to be worth it. Push closer to the front after Arcade Fire and check out Idols. They're on from 8:10 to 9 p.m. And then what? Whew! Now the difficult decision is between Phoebe Bridgers or Amyl and the Sniffers. Phoebe Bridgers has broken through as one of the best indie artists of the day. That she just came off a huge album called Punisher. She was up for like Best New Artist, lost out to Megan Thee Stallion, and she's had one of the best indie bands of like 2020, Punisher. Excellent album, excellent artist. She was dating Connor Oberst. I'm not sure if she still is, but Connor Oberst from Bright Eyes. But yeah, she had like a big moment on SNL. She was basically one of the biggest breakthrough artists of 2020 with that album Punisher, with the song Kyoto. Phenomenal artist. but I don't know whether I'm gonna want to check out her or another one of the most exciting new punk bands of the day, Amyl and the Sniffers. Like, she and they might turn up even more than Idols, but if you might be a little bit burnt out after Idols, to be honest with you, but if you still have an appetite for, like, the mosh pit style culture, oh my God, check out Amyl and the Sniffers from Melbourne, Australia, I believe. I think I had their album is one of my top 5 to 10 albums of 2021 called Comfort to Me. Amyl and the Sniffers, relentless style band, and they kind of have a nuanced approach to punk rock, conceptually, her delivery, her energy, because a lot of the times, punk bands are kind of hinging upon the charisma of their frontman or frontwoman. In this case, Amy Martin from Amyl and the Sniffers, she is just phenomenal. So I would, it's crazy to say it, but I might check out Amyl and the Sniffers instead of Phoebe Bridgers. But I don't know. Once you're there, you might decide to go with Phoebe Bridgers, and I would totally understand that. So take your pick, Phoebe Bridgers or Amyl and the Sniffers. But in choosing one of them two, you're also going to miss out on 2 other very good artists. The Avalanches, kind of like an iconic DJ, kind of EDM, not EDM, but still electronic, kind of with the DJ Shadow style, where you're mixing in some of the samples. Some of it's kind of dubstep, some of it's kind of danceable, almost like a form of house. But the Avalanches had a iconic album called Since You've Been Gone. No, not Since You've Been Gone. Since You've Been Gone was that Kelly Clarkson song. It was called Since I Left You. That was an iconic electronic DJ style, kind of hybrid genre bending album. Avalanches, you would miss out on them if you check out Phoebe Bridgers or Amyl and the Sniffers. And you're going to miss out on Baby Keem, who actually won a Grammy for his song with Kendrick Lamar. The song was called Family Affair or Family Ties, one or the other, and his album was called Melodic Blue. He was up for Best New Artist as well. So yeah, very good artist. And on his same stage, again, you would be missing out on him if you check out those other 2. But if you prefer to check out one of the best rappers instead of Amyl and the Sniffers or Phoebe Bridgers, go check out Baby Keem, because you would also be in position right after Baby Keem to check out Big Sean, one of the better MCs, rappers of the past 10 to 12, 15 years. Now he's on at 10:45. So if you check out Big Sean, you're gonna miss out on not only Daniel Caesar, but having any chance to get close to the stage for Friday's headliner, Harry Styles. So if you want to be in position, decent position for Harry Styles, you're gonna have to miss out on Big Sean and Baby Keem. In fact, I would suggest that after Phoebe Bridgers or Amyl and the Sniffers, or you might even want to leave their set a little bit early to then catch some of Daniel Caesar's set. He performs at 10:10 to 10:55, and then Harry Styles comes on that same Coachella stage, which means you're also going to miss out on the very good breakthrough R&B artist Snow Allegra. But yeah, if you want to check out the headliner, Harry Styles, make sure that you are in position and kind of there for much of Daniel Caesar's set just before that. So yeah, and then after Harry Styles, you could then go to the outdoor theater if you want to check out one of the best kind of hybrid rock, prog rock, krautrock, psychedelic rock, experimental rock, all variations of indie rock, basically. King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. If you're into the OCs or the OCs, that band, you're going to love King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. They perform after Harry Styles, but not on the same stage, so there's a lot of overlap there. If you're going to check out Harry Styles' whole set, you're probably already going to miss most of King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, but if you want to try to catch the tail end of their set, you could go check them out, or you could check out the production band, Bad Bad Not Good. They perform within 5 minutes of each other, them and King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. So if you want to see the rock band, King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, they've got several very interesting and envelope-pushing albums, or you could check out the jazzy hip-hop, multi-genre production band, Bad Bad Not Good at 12:05. And again, those are both after the headliner, Harry Styles. So that's Friday. What's good? It's Woog. So we just went over Friday's lineup. Coachella just released the set list finally, way later than usual. I'm used to getting that thing in like midweek of the festival or like even early week of the festival. But yeah, they pretty much held off until late in the game. We pretty much saw some of the reasons why, some of the schedule changes. Obviously, Kanye came out and they were replaced by The Weeknd and Swedish House Mafia for Sunday's headliner. And then, you know, as we learned, Arcade Fire is going to be performing like mid-evening on Friday. But right now we're going to get into Saturday's lineup. And I just want to give some recommendations in terms of like, okay, if you wake up, you get out of your tent, out of your hotel, what are the artists you're going to want to see and what's the order that you want to see them? Like running from one stage to another, how much of that do you want to do and so forth. So we're going to try to make this quick because there's really not too much time to spare. Now, if you have an appetite for, you know, some of the punk rock, what's kind of cutting edge and what's new, there's a band called The Yard Act that performs on 1 o'clock p.m. on Saturday. They're going to be on from 1 to 1:30. So if you want to get out there early, depending on how you feel and how late you stayed up on Friday, you might want to rest up for at least the first few hours well into the afternoon. But if you got the energy to get up, you know, somewhat early and get out there onto the campgrounds and see some acts early, I would recommend checking out the Yard Act at 1 o'clock. And then on that same stage, 2 acts later. So if you want to sit through Beach Goons or leave and come back. But Nilufer Yanya, she had an album called Miss Universe a couple years ago. I actually caught up with her at the Lodge Room in LA and shot video and photo of her set. And, you know, I was always enamored by that Miss Universe album. It kicks off with a song like In Your Head. Kind of alternative rock. She's got a lot of, you know, jazz, pop jazz, kind of like a soft bedroom rock, bedroom jazz, whatever you want to call it. But a combination between that and then with this latest album that she just released a couple months ago, a lot more edgier style rock. So she's a pretty versatile young artist, and I would definitely recommend checking her set out. She comes on at 2:30. So again, that's that same Sonora stage where the Yard Act would have played just a couple artists before. I would recommend seeing Nilufer Yanya. And then one of the conflicts that you're gonna have to kind of make a decision on is either Arlo Parks at 4:50, Japanese Breakfast at 4:40, or the rapper Jid on J. Cole's label at 4. Now, I think that there's a little time for a couple of them. I would actually recommend seeing Jid at the Sahara stage at 4. He's one of these like MCs where he does a lot of like lyrical acrobatics. He's not so much a trap rapper, but he's one of those like just tongue twisters, kind of like Kendrick Lamar like, where you're doing a lot of just mind-blowing, jaw-dropping stuff with how you construct your rhymes, right? Jid is one of those types of rappers. I would check him out at the Sahara stage and then quickly bounce over to the Gobi stage to catch Arlo Parks at 4:50. Japanese Breakfast is pretty much on par, if not even a little bit more popular at this stage than Arlo Parks. They were both up for Best New Artist this past year. And I think they were both up for Best Alternative Music Album. Both Japanese Breakfast and Arlo Parks were nominated this year for that. They're in very similar spots in their career. Japanese Breakfast, however, has had a couple albums already. Arlo Parks just released her debut called Collapse in Sunbeams last year. That was actually one of my top 30 or 40 best albums of 2021. So I would actually watch her over Japanese Breakfast in this case. So I would go from Jid on the Sahara stage. Unfortunately, gonna have to miss Japanese Breakfast and catch Arlo Parks on the Gobi stage. Arlo Parks will be performing from 4:50 to 5:35. So then after that, you got a couple decisions to make. You could either chill out for a minute or you could check out Girl in Red, kind of a new, kind of cool indie artist, indie style, indie pop, indie rock style artist on the Mojave stage. That's the same stage that Japanese Breakfast would have just gotten off from. Or over at the bigger outdoor theater or the biggest Coachella stage, you can either catch Giveon at 5:30 on the Coachella stage or Kuko at 5:50. I actually met Kuko a couple times, like at different events when I was hosting a promotion at our warehouses. We had warehouse spaces, you know, adjacent big 3-story warehouse spaces in South LA on like Manchester and Broadway. But Ham on Everything was one of the promotions that was coming in. And they would have like artists like Kuko and Doja Cat, Post Malone, a whole bunch of new artists that were just breaking at the time. Another one named Father and Key from Atlanta, and an artist from that same label, but an indie style artist. They're mostly rappers, but one of their indie artists named Faye Webster would always be popping up. Lil Peep, when he was alive, would come through a lot and kick it. Kuko was one of the artists that was just starting to emerge at the time. He's from like Hawthorne, California, a couple cities down from here. Again, I'm in Long Beach, California. And speaking of Long Beach, California, Giveon, the other artist I just mentioned, takes the stage at 5:30. Now, Giveon, you might know him from the song Peaches. He was featured on that Justin Bieber song that was nominated for all types of Grammys this past year. But Giveon, he's from Long Beach, California. He actually went to high school less than 2 miles away from here. Long Beach Poly, kind of an iconic school. Always have a phenomenal football team, basketball team, track team. Basically one of the best athletic schools in Southern California. That's where Giveon went to high school. Well, Giveon performs at the Coachella stage at 5:30, but I would unfortunately have to miss him and Kuko because I think I really want to check out either Rina Sawayama, who's going to be performing on the same stage as Arlo Parks after Arlo Parks, but even more so, I think I'm going to bounce from that stage and go check out this hyperpop band called 100 gecs. They perform at 6:10 to 6:50. So you could conceivably see some of Giveon's set and then go over to catch 100 gecs at 6:10, but you're not going to catch the whole set. They're one of these like ultra turn-up bands, like hyperpop. They call it that for a reason. Like the production style is, anxiety-inducing for some. Maybe seizure-inducing for others. But yeah, I want to see how their energy translates, the energy of their music translates to the festival stage. So again, they come on 6:10 to 6:50. Now after that, there are a couple tough decisions to make. Now you can either see Turnstile at 7. Remember yesterday we wanted to see punk bands like Idols and Amyl and the Sniffers. Well, Turnstile is every bit as action-packed as they are. They released a very good album, produced by Mike Elizondo, oddly enough. Look at his background. He was basically producing playing bass on all of the early Dr. Dre and Eminem, not early Dr. Dre, but the second Dr. Dre album, 2001, and the Eminem Marshall Mathers LP. And you look at Mike Elizondo's catalog in terms of what he's produced or played on, it's basically like the who's who and the what's what of early 2000s rap through the 2010s, basically. Well, he produced this punk rock album from Turnstile, one of the best albums overall of 2021. They perform at 7 o'clock, but 15 minutes after they take the stage, Caroline Polachek, who dropped one of the best albums about 2 to 3 years ago and is about to drop another album probably sometime late this year, she performs at 7:15. She's from the band Chairlift. Chairlift had a few really good indie or Baroque pop, just kind of that. Remember when Feist was first coming out and Ingrid Michaelson was first coming out and Corinne Bailey Rae was first coming out? Well, Chairlift was kind of like that playful indie pop style music. And then they kind of grew into a more dream pop-ish style. Well, Caroline Polachek has since gone solo, dropped a very good album a couple years ago, and she's going to be taking the stage at 7:15. I'm sure she's going to be premiering a lot of her new music. Now, she actually had to get off of tour with Dua Lipa because she injured her ankle or knee or something. I believe she tore her ankle on her tour bus somehow. Had to pull out of, think about that opportunity to get to tour with Dua Lipa. Yeah, she had to pull out of that tour, but she is going to be able to perform apparently at Coachella at 7:15. So I've got a tough decision to make between Turnstile and Caroline Polachek. Now, I think I'm going to go Caroline Polachek over Turnstile because at 8 o'clock, I want to catch this other just super turn up, progressive rock, all kinds of rock, but it's very cutting edge. They're called Black MIDI. So I think I want to save some of that energy that I would be spending on Turnstile, kind of relax for a more subdued style of music for Caroline Polachek, and then turn up with Black MIDI at 8 o'clock. Basically, as soon as Caroline Polachek is off, or I might even want to leave her set a little bit early, make my way over to the Sonora stage and catch Black MIDI from 8 o'clock to 8:50. I feel like that's must see. And then after that, you basically have to make your way over to the main Coachella stage. So you're going to miss the iconic Danny Elfman, who's composed everything from the Beetlejuice soundtrack to the Simpsons music and much, much more. Look at his background. Danny Elfman, going to have to miss him. Going to have to miss that band or the DJ duo Disclosure, who come on at 7:10. Because again, I'm either doing Caroline Polachek or Turnstile. And a lot of this is taste-based. If you're into more EDM style music, by all means, I would definitely recommend Disclosure. But I like indie rock, hip hop, punk rock, stuff like that. So Caroline Polachek or Turnstile, I'm going to do Caroline Polachek. And then Black MIDI. And then I'm going to make my way over to the stage where Flume should be wrapping up, because after Flume is going to be Megan Thee Stallion. And then after Megan Thee Stallion is going to be Billie Eilish. The thing about headliners is if you want to get to like decent position, if you don't mind standing like way the hell back and just so far out of everything where you can barely see the stage, by all means, like, you know, take your time and get to the stage when you get to the stage. If you want to try to like finagle your way into somewhat decent positioning for the headliner, I would definitely recommend getting over to that stage at least one artist early, preferably two artists early. Like when I saw Jay-Z headline in 2010 on the Friday night, me, my cousin, my sister, my brother, like we all like went to the front and started getting early, two artists early. So we saw Them Crooked Vultures. It was kind of like a super group rock band that featured John Paul Jones from Led Zeppelin. And then on that same stage, it was LCD Sound System right around the time they made the album This Is Happening, which was right before that first major retirement, right? So we caught LCD Sound System. They blew our minds. We totally weren't expecting everything they had to deliver, but we caught them and then caught Jay-Z on that same stage. And throughout it all, we're moving closer to the front, closer to the front. So by the time Hove got on, we were in excellent position. If you want any chance at decent position for the Billie Eilish show, I would recommend getting over to that Coachella stage at least like halfway or towards the end of Flume's set. Because, again, he's going to be followed by Megan Thee Stallion. You are going to have to wait about a half an hour between the end of Flume and the beginning of Megan Thee Stallion. And then keep on going, try to get, you know, whatever position you can through the Megan Thee Stallion set. And then try to, you know, get in position for Billie Eilish after that. Because chances are the crowd is already going to be forming by the time Megan Thee Stallion takes the stage. They're already going to be gathering around because they know the deal. They're trying to get in early to get good position for the Billie Eilish set. If you want to do the same, again, I would recommend getting over there sometime during Flume's set. So yeah, that's how I would play it. And then after that, if you want to catch some like trap, you know, popular rap after that, 21 Savage is going to be on the Sahara stage starting at just after midnight, 12:05. Or, you know, you could try to, no, you're going to have to miss like Floating Points, Isaiah Rashad, Hot Chip. Damn, and you're going to have to miss Freddie Gibbs? No way. Oh man. Oh, that's tough. I might have to get bad positioning for Billie Eilish in that case. I would Bandana, one of Freddie Gibbs and Madlib's two seminal albums. The first one was Pinata, and Freddie Gibbs has a great catalog beyond that, and his producer for those two albums, Madlib, has his own deep catalog. He's one of the most iconic underground backpack style experimental hip hop producers of the past like 30 years. Seriously, Madlib is an iconic producer, and he basically comes out of like near retirement every so often to take on a project he truly believes in. He's now done that twice with the rapper from Gary, Indiana, Freddie Gibbs, one of the more controversial rappers, one of the more interesting and just aggressive sounding, and just one of the best, one of my favorite rappers over the past like 10, 15 years, starting with like straight Killer No Filler and then Cold Day in Hell. From then on, he was just killing it. Like, listen to Freddie Gibbs albums. He takes no shorts, no losses. So yeah, I would be hellbent on catching Freddie Gibbs at 9:35 and would maybe leave that one a little bit early to have to catch. Yeah, by that time, the crowd is already developed on the Coachella stage, and you're basically out of action. You're going to have to just take what you could get on that main stage if you want to see Billie Eilish, right? Because you're going to have to leave the Freddie Gibbs show, which, again, if you really want to see Freddie Gibbs, see Freddie Gibbs. I'm in that camp. I would actually sacrifice positioning for the headliner to see some of Freddie Gibbs and Madlib. And even before that, if you want to try to catch a moment in hip-hop, Brockhampton performs at 8:25 to 9:15. So remember that whole Caroline Polachek over Turnstile thing, followed by Black MIDI? Well, after Black MIDI, get over to the Yuma stage, I believe, or no, the Sahara stage to catch Brockhampton. It's a really good rap group over the past 10 years. They basically announced that they are disbanding after this Coachella performance. So several months ago, they announced their retirement, went on one last hurrah, one last tour, and it's going to end with this Coachella performance. So this is going to be the last that anybody can see of Brockhampton as a collective. So if you leave that Black MIDI set at 8:50, you could catch the towards like the last 15, 20 minutes, basically the closing portion of the final Brockhampton concert. So yeah, you might want to do that and then get over to try to catch the end of Flume before Megan Thee Stallion and then Billie Eilish. So that's how I would play it on Saturday. Let me know what you think about that. And now let's get into Sunday. Now, by Sunday, after that Friday and Saturday that we just covered in terms of what artists we want to watch and what stage we need to be on to see who, what, where, when, all of that, by Sunday, if you're anything like me, you're a little bit burnt out in the morning. So you're not in any hurry to get back to the fairgrounds to get in position for this stage or that stage. But I do want to get out there at a somewhat reasonable time. I don't know if I want to catch Sanford the Great. Very good artist. He comes on at 2. I might just hold out. I might just chill for just a bit and instead catch Yola on the outdoor theater stage at 2:55 p.m. Now, Yola is one of the more underrated artists in my opinion. She has been nominated for a Grammy in her particular genre. She was signed by Dan Auerbach from the Black Keys. And she's just this kind of country, soul, bluesy style singer from the UK. And, she had an album called Walk Through Fire in 2019 that was phenomenal. And another really good album called Stand For Myself in 2021. So yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. Her show is going to be pretty mind-blowing. You'll be pretty impressed. Yola at 2:55. Now, she gets off at 3:35, so I would want to catch like the last 15 to 20 minutes or maybe even leave her show a little bit early to then catch Griselda. That's the rap tandem of like West Side Gun, Conway the Machine, Benny the Butcher, Mac Homie. Some of the most reputable, newer style MCs. I mean, they're not super young, but they're kind of new in terms of like elevating in the public consciousness. They were signed to like Shady Records several years ago, but have pretty much done their own thing through like mixtapes and just grinded. One great album after another, great mixtape after another. And now they are basically like some of the most reputable rappers in the game. Those 4 MCs, especially the first 3 that I named, Conway the Machine, West Side Gun, and Benny the Butcher. Even more specifically, I would say Conway the Machine and Benny the Butcher have pretty much ascended to maybe like the top 2 out of that clique, even though Mac Homie is just kind of coming on now. But yeah, a very rugged rap, super lyrical, super clever words, and not too dissimilar from like Freddie Gibbs, who we just saw on, we would have just seen on the day before, Saturday, Freddie Gibbs and Madlib. But yeah, I would check out Griselda for as long as I can. And then from there, got a decision to make. I'm either going to go to the Coachella stage to catch out Run the Jewelz or check out Run the Jewelz. That is Killer Mike and LP. They've had just one banger album after another. Run the Jewelz 1, Run the Jewelz 2, 3, 4. They just been killing it. Some of the more reputable rappers in the game as well. LP comes from like Company Flow way back in the day. We're talking like underground rap, late 90s, early 2000s, Definitive Jux era. And then Killer Mike was like a Outkast associate at first. He was kind of a part of Dungeon Family for a minute. Kicked off with that verse from The Whole World Loves It When You Don't Get Down, that Outkast song that was kind of between albums. But yeah, he had since started dropping his own really good albums, and then he linked up and did this Run the Jewelz thing, and they just like really took off and haven't looked back really. Well, the decision is between them or Viagra Boys at 420, one of the funner rock bands out there. Just dropped another really good album this past year, so that one's tough. I'm going to be watching a lot of rappers on this particular Sunday, so I might do Viagra Boys over Run the Jewelz, but nah, I don't know. I might do Run the Jewelz instead. Either way, you'll be missing out on Biba Doobie. You'll be missing out on Emotional Oranges, some other really good new artists. But regardless of who I check out between Run the Jewelz and Viagra Boys, I would then get over to the Sahara stage to catch Vince Staples out of Long Beach, California, a fellow Long Beach. We're out of Long Beach right now, by the way. And one of the artists that performs on Saturday, Givian, is also from Long Beach, but he's from like the Long Beach Poly area, which is less than like a couple miles from here, Long Beach Poly High School, just a few miles away, whereas Vince Staples is from North Long Beach. And so Vince Staples, one of the better rappers, one of the more interesting rappers and kind of nuanced rappers. Like a lot of, people, when they see a rapper coming out of Southern California, LA area, they just assume that they're going to be like a gangster rapper. Well, you can't be coming up in LA and not somewhat influenced by or somewhat surrounded by some semblance of gangster culture, right? Vince Staples is no different. But if you see the take on culture that Vince Staples has, it's very thoughtful, very nuanced. Not to say that others aren't, but Vince Staples just has a very alternative take on the lifestyle. Vince Staples comes on at 5:35. I think I want to check that out. And in doing so, going from either Run the Jewels or Viagra Boys, then over to Vince Staples, I would have then missed out on Crumb, very good indie band. Phineas, that's Billie Eilish's brother and producer. He produced like her whole album. He's her co-songwriter. He's also a solo artist in his own right. So, and who knows, Billie Eilish might make a feature during his set on Sunday. Knowing them and kind of how playful they are, she might pop up on the outdoor stage to support her brother. So I would have missed that. Crumb, I'm probably missing fellow LA band Chicano Batman. And then just before that on the same stage, I would have missed Orville Peck, who is a very interesting, almost like indie country, if that's a thing. Very interesting sound, Orville Peck. Check them out. Like, whether or not you catch them at Coachella, check out Orville Peck. It was kind of like, what is this exactly? But yeah, I would have missed that in favor probably of Vince Staples. And then after Vince Staples, I'm probably going to want to check out Dave, the rapper from the UK. My brother keeps on, he swears by Dave. Like, Dave had one of the best albums of the year, either one or two. Like in 2020, I believe, one of the best albums of the year. Very solid rapper, conceptually awesome. And I did tell you Sunday was going to be a lot of rap, right? Versus like Friday, which was a lot more like punk rockish. Well, Dave performs from 7:15 to 8. And I think Dave has actually won one of those like Mercury prizes that they hand out annually out of the UK, acknowledging like the best album, right? Like I think Alt J won it with An Awesome Wave back in like 2012. Well, yeah, Dave, I believe, recently won one of those. And so I'm going to go right after that over to the Coachella stage to catch Doja Cat because she's going to be the artist coming on right before Swedish House Mafia and The Weeknd. The Weeknd being the late replacement for the late pullout, Kanye West, right? Doja Cat, it's been so impressive seeing her rise because I was managing these warehouse spaces over in South LA, these big adjacent multi-story buildings where we were like hosting different shows from like Ham on Everything. Well, Doja Cat was a frequent headliner at our warehouse spaces, and this is when Doja Cat was just starting to come up. So to see her come from that to what she's like Grammy Award winning now, it's been amazing. Well, Doja Cat is taking the stage before Swedish House Mafia and The Weeknd. And if you want any chance at getting good positioning for the Sunday headliner, you're going to want to be there at least like one artist early and try to start getting, closer and closer to the front so that by the time The Weeknd and Swedish House Mafia come on, you're in good position. I and my family and friends, we had done that pretty successfully in 2010, trying to get to the near the front of the stage for Jay-Z, who was the Friday headliner in 2010. And so we saw them Crooked Vultures on that main stage and then kept pushing, kept trying to maneuver your way to the front, and then saw LCD Sound System, and then we're in good position by the time Jay-Z came on. So yeah, after seeing Dave, I'm going to want to go straight over to the Coachella stage to catch Doja Cat. And in doing Doja Cat and Swedish House Mafia, I would have missed the iconic indie band, post-punk band, Belly. They come on at like 9:40. I'm going to miss Jesse Reyes. I'm going to miss the very interesting kind of alt rapper Denzel Curry at 9:40. But yeah, you got to do what you got to do to see who you want to see. I would have missed Jamie XX at 9:30 as well. So yeah, let me know what you think. I'm gonna release these recommendations first as a whole video and then break it down into Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So you could either fast forward and just see what you want to or need to see. And again, all of this is taste-based. If you're more into like EDM, I'm more into like hip hop, rock and roll, indie rock, ambient music, ambient jazz, punk rock, post-punk, post-rock, all of that type of stuff, R&B. But if you're more into like EDM, I get it, and your list is probably going to differ from mine greatly. But yeah, let me know what you think in the comments. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel if you love music like I do. I'm Woog. Thanks for tuning in. Enjoy the festival.